Chair Nagel.
Here.
Okay. Vice Chair Cohen. Oh, Vice Chair Cohen, you're muted.
You're muted. There you go.
You tell me you're here just for the record.
Right.
That's not my dog.
Okay. Then we have Commissioner Buckholz.
Here.
All right, Phil,
Okay.
put yourself on mute if that's your puppy.
Commissioner Lee.
Oh.
Okay. All right,
Okay.
looks like we have a quorum here. Next up on our agenda is we will do the Pledge of Allegiance. Bridget, would you put the flag up for us?
I would be honored to. Here it is.
All right. So I'll go ahead and lead it. I pledge allegiance
To
to
the
the
flag
of the United States of America and to
of the republic,
for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice
for
for
all.
all. All right, so at this time, I'd like to introduce the new city manager and Gabe Englund. There you are.
Hi,
So
thank you.
welcome aboard. Can you give us a few words of encouragement and direction?
Encouragement, yes. Direction, probably not. I
Okay.
just wanted to stop by and let you know how much we appreciate all the work you do for the city. All the volunteering you do doesn't go unnoticed. We know we ask you to do a lot, and you work on a wide variety of things before they ever see council or staff, and it starts here. And I just wanted to log on in the beginning of your meeting real quick and just say thank you. We really do appreciate all the effort and the time and energy that you spend working on behalf of our residents.
Well, thank you very much, and we appreciate having you with us. So we need to introduce our city manager for the Los Altos Hills. So Peter, forgive me if I mispronounce your last name, Pernajad?
Yes, very good.
Great.
Excellent. Well, yes, hello everybody. Pleasure to be here. Gabe did an amazing job. I'm going to say a ditto to everything he just said. So again, the work you do is tremendous, very valuable. We're doing a lot to kind of capture the things that our 17 or some odd committees are working on. This is no different. So look forward to getting a template from Deborah Padavin that asks you for your top 3 priorities for the year. We want to bring that to the council on the 10th of January. We're inviting every committee to come and provide a 10-minute overview of what those goals and objectives are. And we're hoping to have a strategic planning session with our council on the 25th of January. So all of that we can hopefully put into a larger working plan for next calendar year as we set priorities and establish budgets, et cetera. So
Perfect.
look forward to working with you all into the coming year.
All right. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you being here as well.
Thank you.
All right. So what are we going here? We've got our introductions. Now we're going to ask for public comments on items not on the agenda. So members of the audience may bring to the commission's attention any item that is not on the agenda. Please complete a request to speak form and submit to the recorder. Speakers are generally given 2 minutes at the direction of the chair. Please be advised that by the law, the commission is unable to discuss or take action on any issue presented during the public comment period. According to state law, also known as Brown Act, items must first be noticed on the agenda before any discussion or action. So I think we're going to say that pretty much at every meeting. All right, so our first item will be the minutes. Do we have any public comments on the minutes? Nothing? Okay. Do we have any corrections, additions to the minutes from the commission? Okay. Do we have a motion to oh, yes, Jane.
Sorry,
Okay.
I had to unmute myself.
Oh,
I want to clarify one point. on the first page, under public comments, Frank Martin's comments, the first line, the phrase right now reads, I'll just start after the comma, at Grant Park and discussed not requiring proof of vaccination. I kept reading it over and over, and I just think if we insert another phrase, it might be clearer. I would suggest it read, at Grant Park and discussed the issue of not requiring proof of vaccination. That was the essence of it, really. It was the issue of not. It's just, it doesn't seem to make sense to me the way it's stated here, and discussed not requiring.
All right, that makes sense.
Do you understand? Do you see where I want to insert between the word discussed and not 3 words, the issue of.
Correct.
I think it makes it so much clearer.
I think that makes sense. Yes. Commissioner Beseji.
I wanted to ask for a clarification. Does City of Los Altos require proof of vaccination in any other facility within the city?
That's a question you're asking. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm asking whether or not City of Los Altos requires proof of vaccination and any other community gathering in other parts of the city.
I thought we were discussing the minutes.
I wasn't clear. I read that in the minutes, but I wasn't clear.
Not at this time.
Okay, in that case, then I would say that Frank Martin makes a valid point. Thank you.
Okay. So with that addition, yes, Jane?
That's it, and I move to approve.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Seconded.
All right. Moved and approved. Thank you. All right, so our next item, item number 2, age-friendly program. Do we have any comments from the public? No? All right. We'll start with a report from Bridget and Terry. I'm not sure who's going to go forward with that.
Right.
Looks like Terry. You want to unmute yourself?
Or actually, Chair
Yes.
McGowan,
Yes.
I'm going to go first because I have to read the report first.
Okay.
So I'll go ahead and start. And then after I finish, I will introduce Cherry. And
Thank
then
you.
Cherry will introduce the subcommittee. So I will start. So at the regular meeting on, so just to give everyone a little bit of background, just briefly, a 2000 Commission proposed that City Council consider submitting an application on behalf of Los Altos to join the World Health Organization network of age-friendly cities. City Council supported the efforts and directed the City Commission to draft the application for Council's review. Staff was directed to provide an estimate regarding the number of anticipated staff hours required during years 1 and 2. Then on September 27, 2011, City Council approved the Los Altos application to the WHO network of age-friendly cities with an amendment that included the removal of the proposed Senior Commission recommendation from the application to allow the process to be more aspirational in nature. On June 7th, 2021, Annabelle Pelham, PhD and founding director for the City of Age-Friendly Excellence, otherwise known as CAFE, gave a presentation to the Senior Commission on age-friendly community sustainability principles from grant makers and aging. CAFE was created to capture all the knowledge and capacity, experiences, and expertise. In terms of discussion, over the past several months, city staff has worked closely with the age-friendly subcommittee to accomplish the following work. Number 1, hosted an in-depth meeting with Dr. Pelham to understand the scope needed to update the city's age-friendly status and create an action plan, draft MOU and scope. and included as attachment C and D. For today's discussion, I'm not going to be going into detail about the draft of the MOU or the scope, but that was included in your packet. Just wanted to mention that. Number 2, conducted an age-friendly status survey with the neighboring cities, Campbell, Cupertino, Mountain View, Palo Alto, Sunnyvale, to understand the process, resources, and best practices. Number 3, identified existing age-friendly programs, priorities, and recommendations to cities' age-friendly status and value the 50+ residents. Number 4, worked with age-friendly subcommittee to debrief status and determine recommendation of next steps. City staff, along with the age-friendly subcommittee, will provide a general overview of information received and outline recommended next steps. So first, we did do a brief survey. And in the packet, there is a detailed, it has all the questions, and it talks about more in depth about what each city said individually. But just for today, I'm just going to briefly read the question and give you a highlight of what the answers are. But that is in your packet if you want to peruse later. So the cities that we surveyed were Campbell, Cupertino, Mountain View, Palo Alto, and Sunnyvale. The first question was, who was responsible for putting your action plan together? 3 out of 5 cities and 1 was doing research. Number 2, how much time did it take to develop your action plan? There were different answers, between 3 months to 18 months. Then for question number 3, are you still utilizing this plan or have there been adjustments made? 3 cities said there was no cost. 1 city said there was marginal cost. Question number 4, what type of costs were accrued with putting the action plan together? 3 cities said there were no costs accrued. 1 city said marginal costs. Number 5, what was their set budget? 4 cities said there was no set budget, but putting together action plan. Question 6, does the action plan represent the activities that are happening at your current programs? 2 cities said yes. 2 cities said no due to turnover and COVID. Question number 7, once you had your action plan in place, what were some of the results? Mixed answers. Got started with program, then COVID happened and everything was placed on hold. Question number 8, did you find that you were able to address all of the needs in the action plan for your city? The answer was yes, but COVID caused programs to stop. 2 cities are doing more research and trying to come back in 2022. Question 9, if so, did you have favorable results? 3 cities said yes. 1 city said to be determined. Question 10, what role does staff play in implementing the action plan? 3 cities said staff takes the lead. 1 city had a task force. And number 11, what role, if any, did your senior commission or equivalent have in the development of the action plan? 4 cities do not have senior commissions. So those are just brief answers, but later on in the packet, if you want to see more details about what those specific answers are, those have been provided. And now what I'm going to do is hand it over to Cherry, and Cherry is going to share what the staff recommendations would be for age-friendly.
Thank you, Bridget. Hello, everyone. Honored to be here this afternoon. And I'm going to share now some findings that I came up with my team and share with you at this point. So according to the studies made by Age Friendly Cafe, the most successful, vibrant communities of the future are those that allow for and active encourage greater mobility, productivity, optimal health, and well-being. The City of Los Altos, an age-friendly community, is striving to work for residents of all ages, target needs and preferences of older adults. The focus of the City of Los Altos Adult 50 Plus program, therefore, is to feature accessible transportation, inviting outdoor spaces, quality community and health services, volunteer opportunities, and access to recreation, social activities, and public events. The City of Los Altos Adult 50 Plus program intends to maintain the commitment of providing all of the aforementioned areas of focus. After evaluating current programs, staff has identified and is recommending to prioritize the following 5 program areas. 1 is the Homebound Recreation Visit Program, which will provide recreational activities to elder seniors in their homes. 2, Pickleball Courts and Play. Establish pickleball courts outdoor and indoor for all ages. 3, semi-annual health and wellness fair. Include local medical providers, fitness providers, businesses, and organizations to share trends, new approaches, etc. Adult outdoor workout equipment. Provide in minimally 2 city parks for all. And 5, extended ride care transportation program. Increased funding, expand locations to include social, educational travel up to a 30-mile radius. CAFE's 8 domains to accomplish age-friendly goals are as follows. Excuse me, let me just bring that up. Transportation, housing, outdoor spaces and buildings, social participation, respect and social inclusion, civic participation and employment, community and health services, communication and information. City staff has identified that many of our current programs meet many of these categories. And I'm giving examples of those. Excuse me, let me just bring that up again. Number 1 is the Ride Care program established in 2018. And our current ARP driving license renewal study program encourages greater mobility. Then we have number 2, where we have contract classes. They're often education, exercise, dance, world affairs, card games, and many more. In addition to program activities, drop-in games, coffee serve playing, this encourages productivity. Number 3 is our MP volunteer program, which utilizes all ages for operations, activities, events to encourage social and civic participation. 4 is the Stanford University Falls Prevention Program, our high cap counting. We have CA, the Community Services Agency, that does blood pressure monitoring events for us, clear caption, alternative phones for hard of hearing events. We have laugh events that help promote optimal health. And 5, we have a senior scholarship program that has access to programs. City staff will continue to offer and expand upon current programming to meet the 8 domains. And that concludes the staff recommendations. And now I will turn it over to Commissioner Buckholz and Commissioner Lee.
Tony, Commissioner Lee, looks like we've lost Bill.
Well, that's too bad.
Yes.
Thank you. Well, I will attempt to fill his gigantic shoes as best I can. So thank you very much, ladies, for the report and recommendations. Those are most welcome. What we really would like to discuss is how we proceed moving forward. We need to actually put an action plan in place that is going to require that we understand the situation in Los Altos, and we have not done a survey of the populace in quite some time. That needs to be done. Dr. Pelham has proposed that we conduct some focus groups to understand the current state of the city, and then put an action plan in place based on those focus groups. Does staff have a recommendation on how they would like to conduct those focus groups?
I believe, if I may, there would be discussion. Tony, were you done sharing information at this point?
I thought this was open discussion at this point.
Okay.
Hey, Donna, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Very good. So Donna, did
Yes.
you want to share?
Yes. Director of Community Recreation and Community Services, Donna Leahy. It was my impression that the subcommittee was going to give a recommendation, and then staff will respond to the recommendation of the subcommittee to the commission, and then the commission will come up with what, if they agree with the subcommittee, or come up with their own recommendation. But staff is really waiting to hear the advice of the whole commission regarding this issue. So we don't really have a stance until we hear from the commission, if that makes sense.
Yes, that makes sense. The subcommittee has already recommended that we contract with Dr. Pelham's organization to proceed according to her plan that she's outlined. This
Right. The whole
basically,
commission has not voted on that yet, so we need
I
to.
said the subcommittee recommended that.
Right. So we need to hear from the whole commission.
Yes, indeed. And what we recommended is that when we contract with Dr. Pelham's group, CAFE, they would conduct the focus groups. They would draft an action plan that we would then subsequently develop. This has the great advantage that we spend money and not staff time. And staff time, as I understand it, is very precious. And since the scope of the staff work is far beyond the recreation department, I think that the investment across the board for the city would be very much worthwhile.
So at this time, do we need a motion?
Yes, please.
Okay, so yes, Jane.
Can we discuss are we supposed to discuss the staff recommendations at all at this point, or just what the subcommittee is recommending?
Commissioner Basagi?
Yeah, to entertain a motion, we have to discuss it. And at the very minimum, talk about, pros, cons, potentially the cost. We don't know anything about the cost. And if we vote without knowing the cost, the schedule, and all the other stuff, it's unclear to me the commission has actually done its work. So that's one voice.
Thank you.
Do we have a quorum? Sorry.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is Bill still on by phone?
I haven't heard him.
Bill,
Yeah.
are you there?
I sent him a link to call in.
How do we hear him by phone? How do we all hear him by phone? Is there a way?
Yes.
He has to call in. And I just sent him the link with the number.
Thank you, Ms. Smith.
Without Bill, do we still have a quorum?
We do.
We do.
If he gets on with his phone call. Well, you still have 4. So you're good.
Right. We've got enough already. So at this time, is it a discussion that we need?
So let me kind of walk through the process. So the staff gave a presentation. The subcommittee has vocalized what their recommendation is. It is now time to have a discussion, ask any clarifying questions. You would then open it up to the public to see if there's any public comment. And then listen to the public. If there's no public comment, then you will discuss some more in further depth and then come up with some sort of recommendation. And the recommendation could be to go and do some more work with staff and bring back a proposal based on commission advice. Or you can just say, depending on how your discussion goes and what your recommendation is, you can certainly make a recommendation today to take action, or you can ask the staff to continue to work with the subcommittee. You can go in any direction. So that's kind of the process of how to discuss this item.
I totally agree. Very well said.
Thank you. Jane, you've got to share?
I have a question about number 1, the staff recommendation document. I've been on the commission for about a year, I think, a little more maybe. I don't understand number 1, homebound recreation visit program. I've never heard of this before. Is this live or virtual? And what is this exactly?
Good.
Thank
If I may,
Yes.
Chairman.
Yes, Bridget.
And Cherry may jump in, but this is actually something that Cherry it's an idea she's proposing, because we've heard from the senior commission and their work plan, how are we reaching out to seniors that are isolated? And so we know that is a population that we want to serve, and I know the commission is passionate about it. So it's an idea. Cherry, do you want to share a few, just briefly, what you were thinking regarding that one?
Yes, I have been involved in a fitness mode with an organization that hired contractors to go to different businesses and homes to offer exercise and nutrition programs. And the idea is to hire contractors who are already established as fitness or nutritional counselors or things like that, who would go to the home and either establish a location where they can meet safely and offer the programming that is needed for that particular elder and that elder's caregiver. And that's an idea that would encourage them to be more productive in their own lives, as well as be more connected to what the city is offering as far as programs and community. Does that make sense?
Well, we've been very interested in working with socially isolated people and trying to reach out to them all through the COVID pandemic. But I'm just wondering, so you're picturing this being live and hiring people to make home visits. It's a tremendously expensive proposition that you're proposing. So I think, just going with what Jim was saying, I think, bringing budget into this is really critically important. And to have this as number 1 when we've never done anything like this before, it's very concerning to me. And the monitoring, it's a tremendous project to start a homebound senior program. Tremendous.
May I?
Yes, please, Jim.
Are you done, Chairman? Vice Chairman Cohen. Okay, I totally agree with her. My feeling is that when this issue was first brought up, I thought it would be something like a Zoom kind of sessions. But if it's going to be a home visit and matters of that nature, I think we need to totally understand that the implication of that in terms of the budget, in terms of safety, in terms of all the other respects. We're now potentially talking about how to manage the program in terms of the subscription to it and monitoring it and who, just like what we had with regards to the public transportation, which was quite substantial in terms of monitoring and people asking for chits and using the chits, and and there was issues involved with trying to register so they can get the chits and all that. So I think that it's an involved program. I may, if I may say so, I believe that we need to somehow understand the total scope of it. We can say A or nay.
Yes, Chair.
If I may, so this came from the conversations that I've been hearing with the senior commissioners in regards to the homebound elders. If that is something that you feel is not adequate at this point, I understand, and we can move forward to number 2 if you'd like.
Tony, did you want to share?
The specifics of the program at this point, are not relevant. We still have not done an assessment of where we are as a city. We must do that before we put together an action plan.
True.
The question before us is, how do we get to an action plan? Nothing else is relevant.
Commissioner Lay, do you have an outline for something like that?
So I think Commissioner Lai is correct. So the recommendations that staff have, we will work closely with CAFE as we do the focus groups and use those as a starting point in generating a discussion and ideas amongst the participants. Because we don't want to start with zero, right? We want to start with something first. And so the focus groups is really going to find out what is important to the seniors in this community based on the outline.
So staff cannot work with CAFE yet. CAFE is a contracted organization and we have not approved a contract. They will not talk to you. They will not spend their time working with you.
Yes,
The first thing we have to do is to approve the MOU.
yes.
That has to go
You don't
before
approve
city
the
council
MOU, you make a
and before the
recommendation
city
to council. Council approves the MOU. So this is where at this meeting, this senior commission, either they need more information to make a decision or make a recommendation to council, or they can make a recommendation to council today to enter into a contract and invest in this process, which is required in order to do the action plan. So that is correct.
May I say
Please.
a couple of words? I, for one, am not really comfortable to vote on this today because I don't understand it well. I think the 2 points that were raised by Commissioner Lee and Commissioner Cohen are not in contradiction. They're talking about different levels of approval and scoping and so forth. You know, so for my sense about the whole thing would be there needs to be some kind of a report that the commission studies, and then we discuss that and then take it from there. You know, sitting here and trying to vote on something that is half understood is probably not going to be that useful.
So we presented this back in July. We had an extensive discussion at that time. Staff said they wanted some time to go off and look at it. And today they've come back and told us nothing that I thought was particularly relevant. Failed to see any plan from them on how to draft an action plan.
So can I ask you a question, Commissioner Lee? Where is a report that basically refers to the work you've done?
I'm sorry, say again, please.
Where is a report that more or less outlines the work that the subcommittee has done so I can read it?
That was in the minutes from back from July.
If I may,
Yes.
Chair Navarro, I think where there is a little confusion is that this is the first time that this topic has been brought to the whole commission to have an official discussion because it wasn't put on the agenda as items for them to vote on. So this is what's happening now is we're sharing our report, then the subcommittee is sharing their recommendation, and then as the entire commission, you all can decide what the next steps may be. That's where there's confusion. So because it wasn't officially put on the agenda, so that's probably why, that's probably why there's confusion. So that's
So Bridget, what would be our options for the next step that we should consider?
Well, it could be, you know, if you would like to go with the recommendation that the Commissioner Lee is mentioning, or if you feel like you're not ready to make a decision yet, it's really up to all of you what direction you would like to go in, because we have
Commissioner Lee, sorry, Bridget.
That's okay.
Commissioner Lee, please.
I agree with Bridget. I see two alternatives at this point. One, we can recommend that the city council approve the cafe MOU. Alternatively, we can decline that and we can recommend to city council that staff prepare the action plan. Does anyone see an alternative to those two?
My preference would be not the number 2 you mentioned, Commissioner Lee, not number 1, because I don't understand it well enough, and I don't want to stand in the way of progress at the same time.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Jane.
You know, when the staff makes the recommendations, this 1 through 5, from my standpoint, the data has to drive the decisions. The data has to drive the recommendations. I don't see the data that supports these. I mean, the pickleball is going to come on a presentation in a little while after this topic. But I don't think we're ready for recommendations yet because we don't have the community's input, the survey data from the focus groups and a survey, whatever they're going to do under Dr. Pelham's orchestration to drive decisions like this. I think it's like, just throwing up ideas without a substantive data analysis of data. We don't have that. And until we get the focus groups data and it gets analyzed, that's going to drive the decisions of what we should do. We just can't randomly as a senior commission make decisions like this because just taking number 1, I don't know where this came from. I have no idea. I'm not criticizing it. I'm not saying it's bad or good or whatever. It's just like, where are the facts that support this, that we need this? Anyway,
Tony, did you want to add anything to that?
I agree completely. We do need the facts. We do need the data. Putting programs in place before assessing needs is cart before the horse. Okay? So how are we going to get the data? That is the first thing. Okay. Again, option 1 is to talk to Dr. Pelham, let her do it. She's claiming that she can do it in about 12 months. And if my memory is correct, the cost to the city would be about $23,000. Okay, that's, I believe, the terms on the MOU. I'm sorry, I don't have it right in front of me. So
Okay.
my apologies, I don't have it absolutely correct. The alternative is spending staff time. And we've heard from many cities, the amount of staff time varies greatly. So the question is, who's going to be more efficient, staff or Dr. Pelham? Do you want to spend money or time? Your choice.
Thank you, Chair. So the recommendations from staff on areas to expand on to be age-friendly, you are correct, right? As I mentioned earlier, those will be some ideas, some examples after we enter into a contract and after we've done focus groups, right? It'll be part of the focus group exercise. So I guess the bottom line here is either this commission would like us to prepare and work with the doctor and come back to you with an agreement. Actually, we can just work on the agreement, but if you would like to see it before we forward it to City Council, then we can do that. So we just need you to take a vote and recommend that staff work with the doctor to come up with an agreement with a price, including some of the things that we've talked about here at the commission, and to include that in the scope of work. Because it's a consensus by all the commissioners. What I'm hearing is we cannot implement any more programs until they have been identified through the process that CAFE will take us through with our community to find out what the priorities are. And they may line up with what staff has come up with, or they may not. And so obviously we don't want to implement any kind of program or service unless it is identified through the focus group exercise. And we can't do the focus group exercise until it is entered into an agreement with Cafe to help us facilitate that process. So the first step is, does this commission agree that we want to enter into a contract with Cafe to do this for us? And if they don't, what other information do they need, or do they just not want to do it? So that's kind of where we are.
So I have a question. So are you saying that we need to ask you to talk to the doctor and you automatically agree to pay the fee, or are you going to do an exploration of what it would cost from the doctor?
You've already done all that.
All right,
We're
so
ready
it's
to enter
that
a
number.
contract. We need to go to city council and
Right.
authorization to spend $20,000 to enter into a contract with the scope of work that's been given to us. And so we need the commission's recommendation to do that.
So Tony, what do you think?
Motion, Tony.
Tony?
I would like to move that the commission recommend that the city council accept Cafe's MOU.
I second it.
All right, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Thank you.
All in favor?
Do we have any more discussion on it?
I wanted to ask a question from Donna. What Donna outlined a moment ago is different than what the MOU says, if I'm not mistaken. I think what Donna recommended is that a discussion with Dr. Pelham to come up with a proposal in writing that more or less outlines and scopes out the work. And then commission takes a look at that and make a decision based on that. And that decision is more or less culminates into going in front of the city council and asking for approval.
That's correct.
So if that is the case, I'm not confused, or the two issues are getting mixed up.
So does this commission want to see the end product before it goes to council?
Yes.
Yes, Tony?
Yes.
So the proposal was already drafted by Dr. Pelham. That's what we presented in July.
Right, but our attorney has to go through it.
Agreed. But again, we have to, my understanding is we have to present it to city council before the attorney will look at it.
No, this council will not look at it until the attorney looks at it.
Right.
Okay, then I would like to replace my motion, and I would like to move that the commission recommend that council look at Dr. Pelham's proposal.
Oh, yeah, the attorney. The attorney.
Can I ask a question from Tony Lee? Has this commission seen that proposal?
Yes, again, we presented this in July.
Okay, then I stand down. I think that's fine. I agree.
All right, so we have a motion that is going to replace his previous motion. We're good?
So before you
Yes.
make a motion, you need to open it to public comment.
We've
Okay,
opened the
so,
whole thing to public comment. That was the start of the discussion item.
You can't do public comment before the discussion item. You do it after the staff report and after the discussion and clarifying questions amongst the commission. Public comment then, and then you make your motion.
Okay,
okay, so let's do that. I'm opening it for public comment on this topic.
crickets.
Anything, Bridget? Anybody? No.
I don't see any hands raised.
Okay, now you can
All right.
continue with your motion.
Thank you. Tony?
I move that the commission recommend that we place the Cafe MOU in front of legal.
Right. All right, do we have a second?
A second.
Jane, thank you. All right. So, Donna, you will take care of putting that in front of legal?
No, you have to ask for a vote.
We have to vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. So can we have a vote on that?
Yes.
We got to do a roll call.
Okay.
So I'll start. Chair Nagao,
Yes.
Vice Chair Cohen,
Yes.
Commissioner Basiji,
Yes.
Commissioner Lee,
Aye.
Okay. I think
Good.
I got everybody.
And you lost Bill completely? You don't have Bill on?
Yeah, we
Lost
Bill.
Bill.
Is this quorum? Do we have
I
quorum?
sent him the link to call in and I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, we have 4 is the quorum now.
Okay.
Okay.
Move on to item number 3. So do we have to put this on the agenda for next month at all?
No,
We have to wait for a response from legal.
done.
Right.
Okay. All right. So item number
Hold
3.
on, next month, what we have some feedback from legal, and then we may or may not wish to make a further recommendation to council. Yes?
Yes.
That has to be on the agenda so we can discuss it.
Right.
Well, may I make a comment? I think we have done our part. From this point onwards, it's between staff and legal and the city council, if I'm not mistaken, because we have approved the proposal, and the legality of that proposal is not something we have any opinions about.
It is now staff's task because it falls under operations for us, because you already approved the way it was presented. So it may be tweaked legally, right? And then council can tweak it, or I shouldn't say that word. Council can adjust it and amend it, because that's what they can do. So,
So Donna, when will we see this again?
You won't
I'm not
see it
asking
till-
for a specific time. It'll be after the legal has done the review of it?
You are done. You already
We're
approved.
done. We are done.
It's done, okay.
Yeah, be glad you accomplished something.
Thank
Hang on
you.
for 1 second. So
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank
That
you
was
for-
a lot of hard work, you guys.
we moved to show this to the lawyers, but have we recommended something to city council?
I didn't hear anything yet.
No, I don't think that's our job. I think what
Yes, it is. It's the
So,
commission's
so
job,
the
recommendations to council.
yes, so the council needs your recommendation on that you support this agreement and the finding of $20,000 to spend on it.
what we just did.
No, we
Can
only
you read
voted.
back the actual motion, Bridget, please? What was the actual motion?
I don't have that. I know it's been recorded and I was
Who's your admin today?
Suzanne.
Where is she? Is she here?
She is.
Yes, I am here.
Can you read back the motion, please?
I didn't know I was supposed to take down the minutes.
We have the recording. We have the recording going.
Okay.
So it sounds like we overran that first motion. And Tony, go ahead and clarify it for us.
So the motion that passed was only that we put things in front of legal. We have not moved that city council accept the MOU. So I suspect what we need to do is to make a subsequent motion. And if it's okay, I will go ahead and do that now.
Yeah, I would revise or amend or subsequent to the however you want to do it. But it's not our job to supervise the legality of this proposal. It's our job to more or less approve the outline that is going to be taken by the staff and taken forward to the city. That's my understanding, but I may be wrong.
My understanding is our job is to recommend to city council, and they get to do whatever they want.
But we just did.
So-
We only recommended to put things in front of the lawyers.
Right, we overran the first recommendation with the lawyer recommendation. So now we need to reinstitute your first recommendation.
Right.
Right.
So subsequent motion.
Could
I
you
move We
please
recommend that city
clarify the
council
issue for
accept
us?
Cafe's MOU.
Donna, could you clarify this issue for us from the operations point of view, please?
You're muted, Donna.
If I can, through the chair.
Yes, please.
With respect, with the utmost respect. So if we could move backwards, we just need a recommendation that you recommend to move forward with this to the city council. The legal perspective will be automatic. That's what we do with all agreements. You don't have to say that it's going to go through legal because it automatically will. So at the very highest level, it's just a recommendation that council enter into this agreement with Cafe, and that's it.
Okay, so does that mean we did not need to do that motion to take it to the legal?
That's correct, but somebody recommended that you retract and
Okay,
do it, and then it can still just be one flowing.
so we just want to go ahead and do the motion to bring it to council.
Yes.
Everything else will happen behind the scenes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yes.
All right, Tony, can I ask you to go ahead and do that again?
I move that we recommend to City Council that they accept Cafe's MOU.
I second.
And thank you, Jane. All right, we've got a motion. Is that true?
You have to vote.
Can we vote on it?
Yes, I'll do a roll call.
Thank you.
Chair
Aye,
Nicole,
yes.
Vice Chair Cohen,
Yes.
Commissioner Basigi,
Yes.
Commissioner Lee,
Aye.
passes. 4. We're unanimous.
So allow us to move on to item number 3. So this is the Senior Commission name potential change. Do we have any comment from the public? All right, so now we can have an open discussion. Does anybody have any thoughts or opinions on this? Jane, thank you.
I'd like to make a motion that we retain the title of Senior Commission for this commission. The wording isn't very good, but
Does anybody
Seconded.
want to second that?
Second.
All right, can we take a vote?
We'll begin with roll call. Chair Nagao,
Yes.
okay. Vice Chair Cohen,
yes.
Commissioner Basigi,
Yes.
Commissioner Lee.
Aye.
Motion
right.
passes.
It is
4.
passed. All right, so let's move on to item number 4, pickleball. Do we have any public comment on this item?
Oh,
Jamie?
I do see a hand raised.
I do. I see Dorit. Hi.
Hey.
Jamie?
Oh, no, Chair Nagao, I was actually just going to say, similar to the item just before, it would probably be best for me to go through the presentation first,
That is
have
fair.
clarifying questions, and then you can go to public comment.
Right.
All right.
So I'll go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Jamie Chu. I'm the Recreation Manager for the City of Los Altos, and I will be the one presenting information on outdoor pickleball courts. So if you'll give me just a moment, I will go ahead and share my screen.
Okay.
Okay, so what is before you today is our presentation and staff's recommendation for outdoor pickleball courts, and happy to present this to the Senior Commission today. So what is pickleball? If you have not heard of this particular sport before, oh, and I apologize. My internet has been going in and out, so I do apologize if I pause. Please let me know if you are unable to hear me or if you cannot see my screen. But reiterating, pickleball is a hybrid of tennis, badminton, and ping pong. it is one of the fastest growing sports in the country. So this is the overall view of a pickleball court, and the general dimensions of the court is roughly 20 feet by 44 feet. There is, as you see in the diagram, the baseline, center lines, and then the non-volley section, which is known as the kitchen. But this is the overall what a pickleball court looks like. In comparison to tennis, a general tennis court is 36 by 78 feet. And roughly, as you can see in the area that one tennis court can fit, about 2 pickleball courts can fit on one on either side of a tennis net. And so just some basic information. We were lucky enough to have indoor pickleball introduced to our Adult 50 Plus program back in 2016 by our then interim recreation coordinator, Cherry Anderson. It started with just one indoor temporary court using the Hillview multi-purpose room. Obviously, that went away when Hillview closed for construction. Over the course of time, interest obviously grew, and it warranted a second temporary indoor court, and we actually utilized the Los Altos Youth Center, otherwise known as Lacey. And both of those spaces, Hillview Multipurpose and Lacey, were used during the daytime, which was roughly in the 11 to 1 p.m. time frame. And again, interest grew, and the community asked for evening opportunities. And so we actually engaged the city gym at Egan Middle School, and that can actually support 4 courts. And we were able to do a combination of either Mondays, Wednesdays, or the combination of both Mondays and Wednesdays. And evening was the 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. time frame. And so when you look at, and again, all of those opportunities were indoor, but looking at outdoor, we don't currently have any opportunities here in Los Altos. And so we've heard a great deal from, before I go there, a great deal from community members that they would like to see some outdoor opportunities. And so in looking at this and looking at indoor again, what I will highlight, and that's in the staff report, in March of 2020, when the COVID-19 pandemic hit, all of our in-person indoor programming was canceled and placed on hold. It wasn't until basically September of this year, 2021, where we actually brought back in-person indoor programming. And so with hearing from our community members, we are looking to reconstitute our indoor pickleball program at Egan Middle School. And our anticipated timeline is January 2022. We're looking at Mondays and Wednesdays from 6 to 8 p.m., which matches what we had previously. And then we're going to look at outdoor pickleball opportunities. And so at the moment, our staff recommendation is to overlay our current tennis courts with pickleball lines so that both tennis and pickleball can coexist. In this chart that you see before you, we have 4 locations in Los Altos that currently offer tennis courts, and that is Marymead, Mackenzie, Montclair, and Rosita. And the number of current tennis courts are currently outlined here. There are 3 at Marymead, 2 at Mackenzie, 2 at Montclair, and 3 at Rosita. Currently, our staff recommendation for overlaying pickleball lines, we would plan to do 1 at Marymead, 2 at Mackenzie, so both, and then 2 at Rosita. Essentially, as I showed in an earlier diagram, we can roughly fit 2 pickleball courts over 1 tennis court. So by overlaying the pickleball lines with those number of tennis courts, we would then get 2 pickleball courts at Marymead, 4 pickleball courts at Mackenzie, and 4 pickleball courts at Rosita. And the other part to highlight is that we would then have still 2 untouched tennis courts at Marymead, none at Mackenzie because we would change over both. We would still have 2 untouched tennis courts at Montclair and 1 untouched tennis court at Rosita. And to further look at the outline, essentially this is a general map of Los Altos. The Egan and its tile offer indoor. This is at Egan Gym. And then the next ones, Marymead, Mackenzie, and Rosita would all have opportunities for pickleball. And a few things as highlighted in the report, want to offer a variety of opportunities to allow the pickleball courts. In addition, quite a bit of consideration was also given to accessibility of parking. As outlined, pickleball courts can be played in singles or doubles, and by adding pickleball, excuse me, it can actually add 4 times the number of players. So again, we went for, and so that is why additional courts are planned for Rosita and for Mackenzie, because there is parking available. Whereas Marymead, it is a smaller parking area, and there isn't a parking area at Montclair, which is why staff is not recommending to overlay courts there. But that is what our current staff recommendation is. We have been with a few community members that were avid players of our indoor program as well. And current timeline to hopefully implement this is by spring of 2022. What we are looking for as we present this recommendation before you is feedback as far as overall thoughts on bringing pickleball opportunities to outdoor pickleball opportunities to Los Altos. And that essentially is my report and presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions that the commission may have.
All right. Do we have anybody on the commission that's got any questions or comments for Jamie? Yes, Commissioner Busigi.
Sorry about that. My question, has Parks and Recreation Commission approved this plan?
Great question, Commissioner Busigi. And at the moment, we are also planning to bring the same presentation to Parks and Rec as well. And I will say pickleball, and part of the reason we wanted to get feedback and bring this to our senior commission is because this is a very popular sport in the senior population as well. So it is planned, and it is going to come forward at the Wednesday Parks and Recreation Commission meeting at 7 p.m.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Lee is asking.
Oh, Chair Nagao, it sounds, you sound a little bit far away, but Commissioner Lee, did you have a question?
Yes, thank you. Purely logistical question. If you're switching between tennis and pickleball, how are the nets and posts managed?
No, great question. And let me go back to one of the diagrams, which probably would be helpful. And that is, so our recommendation is that the tennis court, the tennis net would actually remain in place, and either pickleball court would go on either side. And so we would, as we prepare for bringing the overlay of lines, we would also work out where the equipment would be stored so that the pickleball nets could come out, but the tennis court net would remain in place with what staff is currently recommending.
So the pickleball players would have to install their nets?
Correct.
And what would prevent those nets from growing legs?
No, absolutely. That is a great question. And so we are currently working out details, but there would most likely be storage units that we would have those secured and not have, because my experience as well is that unless it is secured, it doesn't have a tendency to stay. And so we would work out those details to make sure that all of those pieces would be in place prior to play starting.
And that would be accessible by some staff member then?
No, and those details we are currently working out as far as how that would function with program times, as far as, and that is something that we are currently looking at and getting best practices from surrounding cities. As an example, there is a robust program at Mitchell Community Center in Palo Alto, and they do have specific program times as far as when tennis gets priority versus when pickleball gets priority and how all of the setup occurs. So that is something that we would make sure is worked out and in place, and we would take a look at best practices.
I have a question and a comment, if I may. I have a question and a comment, if I may.
Sure.
Okay, the question number one is, do we think that it is appropriate for us to pilot run this program on less number of courts, given all the logistics that Commissioner Lee referred to, and see how it works out for our community before we do this? But I do understand that borrowing best practices from surrounding communities is every bit as good as potentially running our pilot run. The only thing pilot run would do would more or less say, if tailored to our need, the need of our community members, will this work as well as it does in other communities? That's the only question I have. But the comments I like to make is that from my vantage point, seniors probably will be more amenable to pickleball than to tennis because of the mobility issues and so forth as the age grows. So I'm completely biased toward voting for it. So.
No, and thank you very much, Commissioner Basigi. And as far as best practice, we would definitely look at, and part of what we're looking at for implementing overlays of the pickleball lines is to also give ourselves an opportunity to look at use and popularity as well. Ultimately, as we've been working with a very enthusiastic community group who currently frequents the Palo Alto Pickleball Club, If there is a desire and need for the usage that shows, we would potentially down the line look at maybe doing or installing some permanent pickleball courts. But we thought that, again, this immediate recommendation, because right now there aren't any opportunities in the community, Los Altos community, we wanted to make sure that we heard and met the demand of what we were hearing of wanting outdoor opportunities here locally in Los Altos. And so we thought this would be a good starting place, and also to give us the opportunity to look at what the interest looked like before we made the full jump.
Thank you.
So absolutely, to your point, we want to use this as an opportunity to learn and grow. Yeah. Commissioner Lee?
So I'd like to suggest that the program be expanded a little bit and go ahead and add Montclair. Converting one court would be really helpful. That park is actually pretty heavily used for tennis. It's a very popular place and lots of folks in that area. And I think one court there would actually draw a great number of people. I understand certainly the comments about parking. It's all street parking there, but also that is adjacent to Montclair Elementary. And when school's not in session, there's ample parking at the school.
Good point.
No, thank you very much, Commissioner Lee, for that feedback. Are there any other questions by the commission? Okay, Chair Nagao, and I'm sorry, I don't know what happened to your sound, but this might be a good opportunity to open it up to public comment now.
I'm looking. I don't see any hand up. Okay, looks like Dan Mitchell. And Dan, I'm gonna set the timer. I'm gonna share my screen and then I'll set a timer for you for 2 minutes. Let's bear with me. Let me get that out of there. Can you see that?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Okay, Dan. I'm gonna start it right now.
Okay, I'm one of 3 members of the Los Altos Pickleball Club that we've just informally started from the Pickleball Club itself. I just wanted to speak a little bit about the popularity of pickleball and how adaptable it is across various age groups, ability levels, everything else. I grew up in Sunnyvale. I've lived in Los Altos for 30 years now, and I played racquetball for 45 years of that. And when I played racquetball, I played with maybe 500 to 1,000 guys and 3 women. And it's because it's a sport that's really slanted towards strength and speed. Pickleball, when I came over to that, which has been a couple years ago, half the people I play with are women because it's based on quickness, it's based on intelligence, it's based on soft skills. It's not just one skill set. So the environment is completely different from other sports I played. That includes tennis, where there's it's difficult to serve a tennis ball. The first day I played pickleball, I didn't miss a serve all day. So it's very accessible. I played with kids as young as 10 years old and had fun playing with them on an informal basis. I played with people in their 80s who, when I first started off, were beating me, even though I was a pretty good athlete, because of their knowledge of the game. And that's one of the reasons why it's such a popular sport and growing so quickly. A lot of the people that have joined the Pickleball Club in Palo Alto and have former injuries, knee injuries, hip injuries from other sports. They're out there playing every day. I played 6 hours this morning, and I play 7 days a week after 45 years of racquetball. So I'm a little beat up, but it's a very accessible sport, very popular. It's going to continue to grow. So I would really urge you to make the facilities available as quickly as possible, because there are plenty of people that want to play, and it's good for all of us to keep moving.
Extremely important comments from my vantage point. Extremely relevant and important comments.
And it it looks like we have Diane Edmonds has her hand raised. And I can start the timer, Diane, if you're ready. Diane, can you hear can you hear us?
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yes.
Okay,
so you've
great.
got 2 minutes. I'm going to start you right now.
Okay, hello, my name is Diane Edmonds, and I would like to start by thanking all of you for volunteering your time and your passion for community service. I would also like to express my immense gratitude to Donna Leahy, Jamie Chu, and the Parks and Recreation teams for hearing our request and bringing this matter to your attention. I have lived in Los Altos for over 20 years. I've raised my children here in the public schools, and I also owned a local business in downtown, Linden Tree Books. I owned Linden Tree for 10 years, and nothing represented community more than owning this establishment. I sold Linden Tree in 2019, and that is when I discovered pickleball and the pickleball community. We are here today to express the need for public outdoor courts in Los Altos. My home court is in Palo Alto. That is where I had to go to take lessons and learn about the sport. I'm a member of the Palo Alto Pickleball Club, and I'm here today speaking on behalf of the 75 members of the Palo Alto Pickleball Club that are residents of Los Altos. And that is only telling half the story. This does not include members from Los Altos Hills, participants that are at other facilities, as well as those that are playing without a club affiliation. There is a forum on Nextdoor about where Los Altosans can play for pickleball. I personally play in Sunnyvale, Santa Clara, Palo Alto, and Menlo Park. Los Altos has a vibrant pickleball community despite being the only city on the peninsula without public outdoor courts. While the staff has researched the best practices in a phased approach to court configuration, their recommendation does stop short at allowing and promoting a vibrant gathering for frequent players in our community. Again, 75 residents in Los Altos are already calling pickleball home in Palo Alto. The staff is recommending 4 courts on 2 sites, and we are now also adding in the possibility of Montclair, but we are urging you to approve at least 6 courts, which is very doable and easy, instead of the 4 at Rosita and Mackenzie. We want pickleball to be a success for Los Altos. We want it to be a successful program for Parks and Recreation, and we want it to be a success for pickleball players. So once again, thank you to the staff for moving quickly on meeting with us and getting this to your attention. And let's get our pickleball game on. Thank you.
I don't see any other public comment, but it looks like Commissioner Lee has a question or a comment.
Yeah, quick question. It sounds like we're about to be inundated. Do we have anything in the program to understand what our usage is going to be?
Great question, Commissioner Lee. And that is something that we are also working on, again, working on the logistics of how the shared usage would go, logistics of how the program would be set up. In addition, as you've just outlined, again, we need to make sure that we can get the metrics, the data, to obviously support whether or not we, as the report said, kind of that phased approach. We want to know when we might need to pull the trigger for maybe that second phase. So absolutely, that is a part of our planning process.
I'd also like, Bridget, I just want to mention that Dorit Perry is trying to raise her hand to get into public comment, and she's doing it under the reaction symbol rather than in the participant box.
Okay, so Dorit, I see that. Let me go ahead and put the clock up, and then just remember it is 2 minutes.
Before you do that,
Bridget,
Yeah,
I was told that we had 3 minutes, so I have a prepared 3-minute speech. It feels very stressful to do something different at this moment.
okay.
Can you give me 3 minutes and I'll just do what I wrote?
Sure. We don't have too many.
I practiced, I prepared. I was told it was 3 minutes, so I practiced, prepared, and wrote something. I don't know how to.
I also
Okay.
have a question. Why can't we let the presenters be seen by the
They can unmute their camera.
Oh.
And my timer is.
I've tried to do that.
Okay.
I've tried to do
I think it must be an administrative issue. You have disabled
You cannot start your video because the host has stopped it.
Let me see what I can do. Okay, go ahead and try now. And the timer's not working, so I'm gonna just do my own timer.
Okay. Anyways, thank you all. It's nice to see a familiar face. And I want to thank the commissioners and acknowledge your commitment to our community and the entire Parks and Rec Commission for meeting with us and for supporting pickleball. I've lived here for 27 years. My children attended Loyola Block and graduated from Mountain View High School. I've been an active school volunteer, an art docent, and a community mediator. This is my home. My pickleball home, however, is in Palo Alto. I wish it was in Los Altos. I travel to play pickleball. I travel to Palo Alto, Menlo Park, Foster City, Sunnyvale, San Jose. In fact, Los Altos is the only city in this area without public pickleball courts. Pickleball is unlike any other sport I've participated in, and I'm a 30-year tennis veteran. Pickleball is a community builder. And my goal in bringing pickleball to Los Altos is to foster community building. If you build it, they will come. Without a doubt, pickleball's popularity with kids from 8 to 88 years old is skyrocketing. It's easy to learn, and players are quick to become addicted. There is no expensive equipment required. A basic paddle and you are in. The game and community grows by establishing a critical mass of players. Players must know with certainty that they can arrive at the courts and find games. Palo Alto's 15 courts are full from 7:30 in the morning until 3:30 in the afternoon, and the evening games begin at 5. We hope to establish the same vibrant, dynamic community in Los Altos. The players and the demand already exist. We just need to paint some lines. At Mackenzie Park, where there are currently 2 tennis courts, 6 pickleball courts can be striped. And similarly at Rosita Park, 10 pickleball courts can be striped. Without having this critical mass, we know that the phase 1 experiment will not succeed. We have seen other sites with 2 to 4 courts. They are not successful in building community. And eventually people stop coming because they lack the promise of finding a game. I urge you to support the striping of 6 courts at Mackenzie and 10 at Rosita so we can build community together.
Thank you.
I don't know if you can see the screen, but 6 pickleball courts on 2 tennis courts is very easy to do. And without the mass, without the critical mass of having this many games happening, we just can't build the community. And we've seen failures in many other locations across the Bay Area and in Northern California.
Okay, thank you, Dorit. And is there anyone else?
Can I ask you a question from Dora?
Yes.
You describe community building success and failure.
Yes.
I fail to understand what that means.
Okay, my goal is the community building, and I have witnessed it successful in Palo Alto and fail in Mountain View and in San Jose, where I also play. So the key aspect, of course, is having enthusiastic leadership, and three of us are here today with that.
Right.
But it's having the significant number of courts where you can bring people together and have 50 people, 40 people, and you can cater to various skill sets. Some people will be more advanced, some people will be beginners. When we have many courts, we can accommodate that.
Okay.
We can host events, we can have teaching events, we can have kind of fun and silly events. We can have events for 20-somethings, we can have events for seniors. And all of that happens when you have enough courts. When you only have 2 courts or 4 courts, you can't get that going. There becomes a competition for a scarce resource, and there's just not enough critical mass. People are used to coming to courts and having all of that there. If they come to the courts, like in Mountain View, there's 2 courts by the Escuela, by the senior center. It has been a huge disappointment because with 2 courts, you can't be sure that you will get on. You can't be sure that you are allowed to play. And so people have abandoned that essentially until they're able to build more courts. In San Jose, there's a place with 4 courts called John Meese Park. It is also largely fallen apart because there's no community. People can't do enough with 4 courts. That's why I'm advocating for a minimum of 6 and 10 at Rosita.
I have a follow-up question. Is our objective to build community, or is it to provide pickleball and then perhaps move on to community building? I'm not sure whether the both objectives need to be met all at the same time. So that's just
Diane, do you want to take that one?
Sure. I think the fact that there are 75 people knowingly paying dues to Palo Alto Pickleball Club to be a part of a community that is not part of their city, it speaks to itself.
Okay. Thank you.
Pickleball is good on so many levels. It is a very healthy exercise. It's good for you to be active. It gets you outside. I've met easily 200 people. So it makes connections with people that you might not see, of all ages, from all parts of the city. It really is like nothing I've ever done. And I've played tennis for 3 decades without the same kind of experience I'm having in pickleball in just 4 years.
And Chair Nagao, I'm sorry about your sound. But to your point, Commissioner Basigi, and that's what you read in the staff report as well, is that we've taken again, as we mentioned, staff is recommending a phased approach. And so at this moment, what we would like to hear, and we've heard quite a few comments from the commissioners already, but at this point, we can, if there aren't any other hands raised or public comments.
I don't see any more hand raised, and I don't see any on the screen itself.
Okay. So we can go ahead and bring it back to the Senior Commission. And if there are any other discussion points, again, before you today with the Senior Commission, is that we staff would like to get feedback. And so from the staff report that you've heard from staff, and then obviously the comments you've heard from the public, please feel free to share any additional comments with staff so that we can take that into consideration, and also include it in our report to the Parks and Rec Commission as well too. But again, to your comment, Commissioner Basigi, part of what staff was putting forward was in a phased approach so that we could kind of see where things went. But if the commission feels strongly with the comments that they've heard from the community, we can definitely take into consideration any other comments that the commission may have. Commissioner Lee?
So I'll enthusiastically support the plan and encourage staff to move forward as quickly as possible. It sounds like there's a tidal wave coming. I imagine that as part of this plan, you proposed a limited number of courts because of financial considerations. Is that correct?
A little, yes, for additional, or let's say dedicated created space, that would be potentially a larger capital improvement program project that may require some additional time. And so what staff has currently put forward is something that we can definitely move on a little bit more quickly than what would be needed for a capital improvement project. So this is something, and again, we want to be kind of meet the, at least try and get outdoor opportunities for our community as soon as possible. And then if we are seeing again that need, then we can really put in the plans to maybe get something additional. But again, we can incorporate other feedback and ideas as well.
How quickly do you think this is going to be deployed and operational?
No, absolutely. What we're anticipating is spring of 2022. So we're hoping for, we're saying spring, but again, and we're working obviously with maintenance services as well, because they'll be the ones that will be implementing the actual installation. And then recreation will be the ones to work out the programmatic side of it.
Could we then look forward to hearing back from you shortly after opening and see how attendance is going?
We would be happy to share that information with the commission. It's always nice to hear information after something has been brought forward, and then you provide comments just to know where it is. So we would be happy to share that information.
Public comment phase is over.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry about that.
I was just going to invite you all to come play pickleball.
Okay, thank you.
Jamie?
Yeah, Vice Chair Cohen.
What about the comment that we don't have any pickleball courts scheduled to open at Montclair due to parking issues? Do you think that could be that we could change that and try to open at least 2 there as well?
No, absolutely. And I know Commissioner Lee shared that he thought at least 1 would make sense to overlay, and we will definitely take that feedback into consideration. And as I mentioned earlier, we will have to look at what that shared use would look like as well, because again, there's going to be pickleball lines in addition to tennis lines. And as I mentioned in the presentation, you know, who gets priority, what time frames. We want to make sure that all of that is set up so that both programs can be successful. So we will definitely take that into consideration.
Thank you.
Commissioner.
I'm inclined to totally go along with what the staff has proposed, in addition to what Commissioner Lee proposed in adding at least 1 court to Montclair, and perhaps maybe more. So that would be my inclination going forward.
No, thank you so much, Commissioner Basigi.
Do you need a motion from us, Jamie? What do you need from us?
Oh, no, this is all of your comments. If there's any additional, I'm happy to hear them, but this is the perfect forum. You've provided all of your comments to us, and we will definitely include that in our presentation to the Parks and Rec Commission, which is planned for Wednesday evening. And so we will definitely bring that forward, take all of the comments that we've gotten from both meetings, and then make sure that we put a good foot forward into bringing outdoor pickleball opportunities to Los Altos.
Thank you.
Well, no, thank you so much for the opportunity to present this information. And I'll turn it back over to Chair Nagao and Staff Liaison Bridget Matheson.
Thank you, Jamie.
You just blocked my my camera. It just automatically blocked.
Let me.
I tuned in.
Sorry about that.
Now, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear
Yay,
you.
All right.
Yay, you're back.
I'm
Jim,
back.
I'll see what's going on. Commissioner
All right.
Basiji.
So are we going to get Commissioner Basiji back?
Yes. Where
Ooh.
did he go?
Try logging in and logging out. That's what I did, and it seemed to
I got him.
reboot.
You want me to log in and log out? Or you
No,
want
I think she got you, huh? There you go.
Thank you.
All right. So I hate not being heard.
I know, sometimes technical.
Yeah, sorry, Chair Nagao.
No, thank you guys for kind of taking over and jumping in there. Appreciate that. All right, have we concluded our discussion on pickleball? Okay, so there's no motion, nothing else that we need to do. And then we'll hear from Jamie after she's set up these courts in the spring. All right. So now we're going to go to informational items, public comment, and item number 1. So informational items from the staff. Does anybody have anything?
It doesn't look like it.
No, I don't think so. All right. And now item number 6, source-wise meeting update. Yes.
Actually, we skipped. So we're just going to need to do item 5, which is the staff information report for.
Yes.
So
it didn't look like there was any reports.
Oh, there is. There is.
All right. Commissioner Lee?
Can I request that we take a 5-minute recess? We've been going for an hour
and a half.
I think, Commissioner Lee, generally we take the recess, individually. That's how it works.
Just go ahead and block off your camera.
Just block off the camera and go and take care of your business.
All right, there you go.
And then I'll have Carrie give.
We want to continue with this meeting. It has been kind of long.
I'll have Cherry read the staff information report.
Thank you. Cherry?
She's muted.
It's not.
There she is.
There she
All right.
So could you repeat that? I was reading something.
Oh, no, that's okay. We are going to be doing just briefly the staff information report. It doesn't look like staff liaison Chris Conf is here from the town of Los Altos Hills. So kind of for the sake of time, is the commission okay if we'll just breeze through it?
Please.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'm ready. I have it.
Go ahead.
Okay, so we are currently hiring facility attendants. We're hiring, we're working at the new Los Altos Community Center. And there's a web link for those who are interested in spreading that word and getting that link out to people. We're also going to have this Wednesday, December 8th, we're going to have a mini trip to Filoli's for the holidays. And we're going to be going there from 11 a.m. until 3:30 p.m. It's for residents, it's going to be $55 charge, and for non-residents, $66. The rec leaders have wonderful activities that they plan for them while they're traveling to Filoli's, and refreshments, and they're going to have lunch, and so that'll be a wonderful event. And the trip is almost full. We're really pleased about that. And then there's the 34th annual Gingerbread House exhibit, where it's going to be on December 11th, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. That's going to be the social and the ornament making event. And questions and more information can be directed to Katie Brecker or at kbrecker.losaltosca.gov. It is actually the 34th annual Gingerbread House exhibit. So we're excited that it's going to be in person. And then there's the Holiday Dessert Social with a movie to follow, which is going to be in the new center, the Grand Oak Room. We're looking forward to having desserts and little treats. We're saying small treats, not a full lunch. And afterwards, you can stay for a movie, which we have a huge big screen and going to show It's a Wonderful Life that we hope will make you smile. That'll be December 16th, 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. And the suggested donation is $5. And then we're going to have the 20th annual fun run. And it's going to take place on New Year's Eve, or New Year's Day rather, excuse me. And it's a tradition, it's fun, it's non-competitive, and it's free. It's a 5K, and that means it's a 3.1 mile walk, run, or roll. So you can bring your kids or your grandkids and get the strollers out and have a nice day. Event details, you can go onto the Los Altos Recreation page on the website and sign up from there. Registration is now open. And then we have our usual, the On the Move ride care program is really starting to pick up. We have more and more people utilizing that service. So we're really pleased about that. Getting more reimbursements, yay. And then, for more details about that or any of the other activities, feel free to give us a call at the Adult 50 Plus program. And we will see you hopefully when you come out to visit. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. All right. Any comments on that?
It's great.
All right.
Lots
Good.
of it. And I'm sorry about Chris not showing up today. I'll look into it.
Okay.
I guess he's really has a lot on his plate. So
Sure.
because of pregnancy leave, so
It's
we-
okay, Commissioner Basigi, because I know he is, you know, as an interim, he's filling in, and so he had said there would be time, so not to worry.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Item number 6. Or do we have any other?
It's if I may,
Yes.
Chair McDowell, this was for the received source-wise meeting update from Senior Commission Representative, which would be Commissioner Basigi. Did you have any updates for us?
Yeah, I do. But I'd like to make a correction first. I'm not a representative yet. I'm only an observer.
Okay.
By their choice, not just mine. It's a mutual choice. I'm an observer trying to figure out whether you know it fits with me and with them and so forth. And today I attended a meeting. It was a monthly meeting. The whole meeting was taken up by a report made by Santa Clara County staff on LGBTQ affairs of the county. And it was a presentation and take up pretty much the whole time. The topic was being essentially the aging LGBTQ community needs and issues. It was a very thorough review, extremely well delivered, and you know, in a way, it was very enlightening. So the report addressed the age, race of the very breakdown of the community, by race, by age, by sex, by the whole thing, and also the housing needs, the met and unmet, both largely unmet from housing point of view. Access to healthcare, again, largely unmet. Substance abuse, employment situation, victimization, use of the elderly LGBTQ in the hands of others, including their own relatives and so forth. I'm sorry about this noise. It's going on, so I apologize about that. And it also talks about the social needs and how much government is or is not doing to meet those needs. So it was a very enlightening report. And I suspect what I glean out of this one first meeting I had is source-wise is a very broad organization. It's not just an organization that provides the a catalog of resources available to seniors. They actually get into a lot of different needs in a fair amount of detail. So it's, I'll attend the next one. I'll let you know more. I'm also intending to more or less go on their website and find out pretty much everything they do, because I was more or less misguided before today's meeting. So with that in mind, I guess we just wait for the next one, next meeting.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I appreciate that. It sounds like there's a wide scope of items that are covered. And so I think it's good that we've got a person and a voice there.
Well, I'm not a voice yet. I'm just a person.
Okay. Well, that's good. We like that.
Yeah.
All right. Any other discussion or comments on that? No?
If any of you have any suggestion in terms of what you want to watch for and so forth, please drop me a line and I'll take it up from there. I'm looking for input from the commission.
Great. We'll be sure to do that.
Thank you.
Okay, then commissioners' reports and comments. I don't think at this time, do we have anything open on it? No. Anything for the future agenda? We have any public comments on that? Jane, what have you got? I can't hear you, Jane. Can't hear you.
Can you unmute yourself, Jane?
I'm
There you
sorry, I
go.
had to move rooms because I had a low battery and I was running back and forth. So I'm hooked in now. Excuse me. I think I would like to know if we could have a report on the status of the age-friendly program, if we can keep that as a running topic on the agenda. I'd like to know how that's progressing. I think that's really a really important project that we're doing.
Yeah.
And could we have that as a future, could we have that on the next agenda?
Yeah. Thank you.
Tony, how do you feel about that?
Can you hear me, Chris?
Good. Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
You want to do it? Is this Tony's okay?
Yeah.
Yes,
He is
absolutely. We should certainly hear from the city council, and then assuming that moves forward, we should be hearing from Cafe on a periodic basis.
Perfect.
We'll have to talk with Dr. Pelham about exactly how often she wants to report.
If I may make a
Thank you.
suggestion,
That's all I have.
if I make a suggestion, when the issue is agendized in front of the council, perhaps Tony Lee might attend the council and be there as our liaison to represent us if there is any comments need to be made.
I would certainly be willing. Thank you for the vote of confidence, but I think I actually would be stepping on Bill's toes if I were not to suggest that he be the one to do it.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, absolutely. Either one of you. I think in my viewpoint, somebody needs to be there representing us from commission point of view, not just by staff point of view.
And I think we should be apprised of when this is going to be formally presented.
Right.
All right, thank you. Do we have anything else?
Doesn't seem like it.
So we call this meeting adjourned? Do we have a motion?
I move to adjourn.
You guys are so quick about that. Yes, yes. All right.
Thank you all very much. See you next month.
Thank you. It's been
Thanks,
very good.
everybody.
Okay.
Bye.